investigation into that. What's next for the committee, and how does it dovetail with the bipartisan task force that has now been set up by the Speaker and Democratic leader?
I think what the bipartisan task force is going to do is try to determine the exact failures, who's to blame. They're going to focus in on the shooter, did the shooter act alone, those sorts of things. Where my committee has legislative jurisdiction is over the Secret Service. And this committee has had a long history of investigating the Secret Service, dating back to Elijah Cummings and Jason Chaffetz when they were chair. There's been a concern for over a decade in the Oversight Committee by Republicans and Democrats that the Secret Service was lax in their training requirements and their hiring requirements, and they had always had a bad scorecard with respect to morale among government employees. So we want to fix the problem. We look forward to hearing what the bipartisan task force concludes. And we want to try to make sure that this never happens again. Well, I want President Biden to be safe. I want Kamala Harris to be safe. And I want Donald Trump to be safe. And we shouldn't have to worry about that. But right now, I don't think very many people have confidence that the Secret Service can protect those people. So we want to fix the problem, and that's the role the House Oversight Committee will play.
Well, I know that you're busy on the Oversight Committee with this matter. Congressman, I wonder if you're planning to pursue, as has been reported, the idea of sending a subpoena to Kamala Harris or other members of the Biden administration for covering up, as it's been suggested, Joe Biden's mental acuity that led him out of this race.
Well, we certainly believe there was a cover-up. I don't think anyone's ever said anything about subpoenaing the vice president or anything like that. We have subpoenaed staffers. We've identified 3 staffers, as well as the White House physician, that we believe, according to press reports in the New York Times and other mainstream media outlets, were the ones that were the gatekeepers, the ones that were protecting Joe Biden from meeting with his cabinet, the ones that were shielding Joe Biden from the press, the ones that were escorting Joe Biden on and off the plane and in and out of the White House. We want to see exactly when the president's health started deteriorating and exactly what they did to try to conceal that. So I don't think very many people in America would dispute the fact that the president has been in declining health. The question is for how long? And the big concern in our committee is, was there a shadow government? Is Joe Biden incoherent completely? We don't know. But if so, who was calling the shots? Was there a shadow government? I think that's an issue of national security, and I think that's a question that a lot of Americans in both parties have.
Do you have enough evidence of that, sir, that we will actually see a hearing in regard to this matter? Is there enough there? How does it move forward?
Well, we're certainly hoping that the White House staffers will honor their subpoena. I assume that that'll be going to court. We have a lot of subpoenas outstanding that are unfortunately being slow walked through court. So certainly this is something that we're not going to let up on. We certainly want to know exactly what circumstances evolved around the concealment of the president's poor health. And certainly, you look at the doctor issued a statement just a few months prior to Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential election, stating that he was in perfect health. And I think we've seen Nancy Pelosi and other leaders who have regularly met with Joe Biden say, no, he's not in good enough health. He's not in good enough health to serve 4 more years as president. So we have a lot of questions, and hopefully our subpoenas will be upheld in the courts now, because every subpoena I've issued, to my knowledge, in the private sector has been honored. The subpoenas that I have trouble with are the ones in the Biden administration. This has not been a transparent administration, and I'm not going to shed too many tears in January when they walk out of the White House.
Well, and of course, we don't have evidence of a cover-up here, but we do want to hear what you learn, Mr. Chairman. At the same time, I wonder if you're not going to subpoena Kamala Harris on that issue, do you in fact want to question the vice president about her role as the so-called border czar in this administration?
We have a lot of questions. I mean, the so-called border czar was what Joe Biden called her, the border czar. So, I don't think anyone.
Well, it's not an official title. I think we understand each other.
Well, I don't agree with that. I believe she is the border czar. And at the end of the day, the southern border is a disaster. We've had a wide open border for the entire 4 years. People are invited to come to the United States without any consequences when they come over here illegally. And I think that That's bad. I think that's been a drain on the taxpayers, on Medicaid, on our public health, on our crime. Fentanyl certainly has poured into this country across the southern border. So we want to know who's to blame for that, because we've got to fix the southern border. So with respect to subpoenas, I've never said anything about subpoenaing the vice president or the president. It's very difficult to subpoena the president or vice president. I would hope that the media will question Kamala Harris about what exact role she played on the border and why she didn't step up to secure the border. If she wasn't the border czar, she was still vice president. Why didn't she express outrage or concern that millions and millions of people were walking across the border illegally?
Well, we do hope we'll have the chance to ask some questions of the vice president at some point here on Bloomberg, Congressman, Mr. Chairman. But obviously, we get to ask questions of you now. I would like to focus on one thing in particular that you put out before the recess. It was a report on the three big PBMs, pharmacy benefits managers. Obviously, there have been a lot of bipartisan ideas as to how to overhaul PBMs. What legislatively do you think we can expect, if anything, from this Congress? Are these companies that need to be broken up?
Absolutely. I'm a Republican. I'm all about making money. I'm a conservative. I believe the government needs to get off the backs of the private sector. But we've got a problem with pharmaceutical prices in America. People that need prescription drugs are having to pay too much for prescription drugs. I think that's somewhere where we have bipartisan agreement. The PBMs are called, their pharmacy benefit managers were created to be the middleman, created to help negotiate the price of drugs, to make drugs cheaper. But what's happened over time is the PBMs have been purchased by the insurance companies who have purchased the pharmaceutical, the pharmacies now. So they're vertically integrated, and they're actually gouging consumers as opposed to saving consumers money. And we believe that these PBMs need to be broken up. We believe they need to be held accountable for overbilling Medicare, Medicaid. You're seeing states, blue states and red states alike, pass legislation to rein in the PBMs. And I think that Congress should do a lot more. We have jurisdiction on the Oversight Committee with the federal health insurance plan. And we've already passed legislation reining in the PBMs on the federal health insurance plan. But the two committees of jurisdiction that have broad jurisdiction over reining in the PBMs altogether are the House Ways and Means Committee and the House Energy and Commerce Committee. They've yet to do a whole lot on PBMs, and our investigation, I think, has shined a light on the abuses. That's that report that we issued. Katie Porter, Raj Krishnamurti, these are Democrat members from California and Illinois, respectively. They were all in with us on this investigation, on this report. It's very bipartisan, and we believe that the PBMs are one reason that healthcare is unaffordable in the United States.
All right. Well, we'll look to see further progress in this area to come. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for joining us here on Bloomberg. We appreciate your time, sir. That's Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky, the chair of the House Oversight Committee. And coming up, we'll turn to our political panel. They'll take a swing at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago press conference earlier today. This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg TV and radio.